found my husband and little sister in bed together. My husband and I had what I thought to be the most amazing, healthy, and happy marriage. We have been together a little over 2 years, but have known each other 7. I have a young son. His biological dad is what you would call a deadbeat. So my husband stepped up and has been his father since he was 4 months old. My son and family absolutely adore my husband. He reminds everyone of my father who passed 4 years ago. My family and my husband have become extremely close super fast. We started trying for a baby a couple months after we started dating, but sadly, didn't end up conceiving our son until 15 months after we started trying. Dealing with infertility was extremely bad mentally for me. I spent a lot of time crying into my husband's chest. After about the 7th negative pregnancy test in a row, we were elated when we found out I was pregnant with our second son last September. Global situation happened and put a bit of a damper on my pregnancy. So I had my younger sister, who's 18, over to our apartment a lot to keep me company while my husband worked long hours due to the global situation. My siblings and I are all extremely close, but my little sister and I are by far the closest out of all our siblings. I basically raised her after my mom abandoned us to live with her boyfriend 2 months after our father died. I would do anything for her at the drop of a hat and would defend her and be on her side no matter what. One weekend in April, my husband decided to unwind and have a drink for the first time in almost a year. My little sister was over, so I went out and bought some wine for her to drink so they could have fun and drink together. Since I was pregnant and obviously couldn't drink with him, we all played games and watched movies. It started getting late and I was tired, so I went to bed. I woke up around 1 a.m. and didn't see my husband in bed next to me. So I got up to go see if he was maybe playing video games still. I didn't bother putting my glasses on. And when I got out into the living room, I saw with my extremely blurred vision him standing there bent over her while she was lying on the couch. They were both closed, and it made me feel extremely uneasy and sick to my stomach. I asked what they were doing, and my husband said he was just talking to her. I ran back to the bathroom and started crying, but just thought I was being ridiculous and hormonal, so I tried pushing it to the back of my head. Only I couldn't. The memory consumed my every thought and was driving me insane. But I didn't have actual proof that anything happened, and I didn't actually see them doing anything, so again, I told myself that I was being crazy, and they would never do something like that to me, especially not while heavily pregnant. My husband started to become increasingly distant and just plain nasty to me, seemingly always finding something to fight with me about, not showing me any attention, any affection or sex, which was extremely out of character. And honestly, unlike him, I brushed it off as him being stressed about the new baby. My husband and I bought our first home in May, and I wanted all our rooms painted before we moved in. My husband agreed, and my sister offered to help him. So fast forward to July, after 3 months of feeling like something just wasn't right, and that my marriage was failing, I woke up one Monday morning, 9 months pregnant, to an empty bed, my husband nowhere in sight. I put in my contacts and then went into the living room to see if he was up playing with the new kitten we had gotten the night before. No sign of him. My stomach dropped. The door to my unborn child's nursery was open, where my little sister was sleeping. My heart sank. My feet felt like cement blocks. But I slowly started walking towards the room, only to see my husband on his knees giving oral to my baby sister in her unborn child's nursery. The first words out of my mouth was, "I fucking knew it. Get out of my house." I'll never forget the look on their faces. I was so heartbroken and traumatized. I ran to our master bathroom and just stood there in shock. My husband eventually came in and tried to talk to me. I threw everything within reach at him and told him to get out and leave me alone. He didn't, so I pushed past him. The rest is a blur, and I don't remember much of it, except hiding his keys so he could drive her back to my mom's house, which he ended up doing anyways. I am still so hurt and devastated, but can't bring myself to leave him even though I am disgusted, beyond hurt, and devastated by this. I have only spoken to my sister a few times, trying to get answers as to why or how the fuck she could actually do something like that to me, of all people. Neither of them have an answer, and they had sex almost every time she was over and I went to sleep. I have no want or need for a relationship with my sister anymore. I truly feel she owes me more loyalty than anyone in this planet. How do I heal from this ultimate betrayal from the two people I'm closest to? This one is complicated. So my ex and I were together for almost 4 years. Throughout the relationship, it was mostly really good. However, I did notice he had some insecurities, and sometimes that would get in the way of us being healthy towards each other. He had left his career and was in a rough patch mentally. I was working a lot more to make sure we would be financially okay, and he wanted me around more to support him emotionally while he was going through this tough time. I was freaking out about money because I didn't want us to end up broke and homeless considering he wasn't working. Because I wasn't as supportive as he wanted, a Tinder profile was found by some of our friends and he was busted. He denies to this day that it belonged to him, but there was no way anyone could have been catfishing using his photos because this profile had pictures that had never been posted or sent anywhere else. I was hurt and confused. I had a guy I hadn't spoken to in a while message me out of nowhere, and I met up with him to vent because I didn't feel like I could with my partner. So this guy then goes to tell me I should leave my partner and tries to get inappropriate with me. He tried to have his way and lifted my dress, and he had his phone out while doing it, and he took a picture of me. I told him fuck off and left immediately and blocked him. A few weeks later, an anonymous profile had sent my partner that same picture claiming that I had sex with that guy and that my partner should leave me because this guy was in love. My partner immediately believed this random person and found it hard to listen to my story. He eventually decided we would stay together and try to work on things. Fast forward a month, we go out with some friends and he is obviously still hurting. He decides he needs revenge and makes out with a random girl at the club. I found out, but I'm not mad. A few weeks after that, we broke up. And days later, he sleeps with some chick he met off Tinder. Tells her how I cheated and how I'm an awful person. He then goes on to keep sleeping with me and her at the same time. He begged for me back, but said he didn't want to tell the other girl we were getting back together until I agreed we would, because he didn't want to be lonely and he had options at this point. Obviously, I thought this was bullshit and said I'm not doing anything until he told the other girl the truth. He then turned around and said he didn't want me anymore. And a few months later, he said he wanted to try and get back together slowly. It's been over a year now since we officially split, and we had talked about getting back together, but as soon as I slept with him again, he basically flakes on me and tells me that I destroyed him in our relationship, and he can't see past the bad things that happened. When I asked if he was seeing someone else, he avoided the question and answered me in a way that leaves the door open for me, saying that I have a special place in his life and he needs to work on himself and see what happens in the future. But I know he's seeing someone else now. There is so much more to this story, as there was a lot of manipulation involved too. But we both fucked up and I'm still lied to this day.